Hello, everyone, and welcome to our weekly live stream. My name is Sally, and this is Stephanie. I actually just introduced myself as Sally.
Classic start. That was awesome.
You know what? I was thinking I was you or listening to you. Okay. Shows where my brain is.
We're identical twins.
I'm Stephanie, and this is Sally. And we are the trophy twins who confuse ourselves with each other from I Jump Instead.
That was so awesome.
And this is Rebounding 101. This is Misconceptions and the truth about rebounding, about jumping, what we've learned over the 9 years that we've been jumping instead. And we also are going to talk about how to get real results with jumping. And if I could get my name right, then at least you're going to get everything else right. Everything we're about to say is so fun, so juicy. You know, we came to rebounding brand new. I would say, 4 years ago is when we started I Jump Instead. So that's when we really jumped into the rebounding community. We have technically been jumping since 2016, which is about 8 years at this point. But in the community and online rebounding, fitness industry, we have only been here for 4 years. And even in that 4 years, there's been something that we've been able to do with educating ourselves with rebounding, and that is bounce off of each other and talk everything out and really discover and explore all that rebounding has to offer, or at least has offered for us in these last 4 years. And it really feels like the tip of the iceberg. But at the same time, we've also had some really cool influences in our life through these last 4 years, which has been our grandmother who we were living with. And she was in her 90s into her hundreds, and it changed our perspective of how we are approaching rebounding. And we've also been influenced by the bodybuilding community, which has completely changed our minds about how to approach rebounding. And then we also started our online business. And so then we were making programs and getting feedback and seeing what was working and what wasn't working. And so we've learned so much, and we're so happy to come to you today with the common misconceptions about rebounding, Rebounding 101, and give you everything that we've learned up until this point. And we could have this exact conversation in 1 year from now, and it would be a whole different conversation. So let's go ahead and get started with what we have figured out and learned up until today, and let's share it with you all because it's really fun and really exciting stuff. I want to say, with what you just said, our grandma being an influence to us, ultimately she changed our perspective of why longevity is so important and what is important when it comes to aging. Being able to stay on your feet, that's a luxury in and of itself. And having feet that aren't, complaining and hurting, and ultimately being able to walk and stay independent as long as possible. So we are valuing that when it comes to being consistent and helping to share our passion and share the importance of movement, of daily movement, of consistency, and of rebounding as part of the fitness journey, if the only way to keep the body moving. It's the most efficient way, or can be considered the most efficient way. And it is so important for us to understand that rebounding is an option for us, to have this unit in our home to keep us on our feet, to keep our legs strong enough to walk, and to extend our life and connect us to internal health as well as external health. So we really believe in rebounding. It's taken time and years to really establish these beliefs, understand what our misconceptions about rebounding were. We want to talk about the misconceptions, and we're also just going to be highlighting what we feel inside and what we have discovered from people's reactions to jumping and to our content on social media. Where do people stand with their perspective of rebounding? Where do people stand with their translation of jumping and rebounding? Wow. And what is the reputation of jumping and rebounding? And it's all kind of mixed up, and people can really see the truth, and people are really misunderstood when it comes to it. So let's start with the first belief here. Rebounding is And I start with this one because I think this is a general vibe, and
So we're starting with
so we're starting with the beliefs. And rebounding is silly and ridiculous and embarrassing.
Sorry about that, my trophies. I just need to put this on do not disturb, because how dare you disturb us in our weekly live on Fridays, hey?
So we just got a phone call, we put on do not disturb. Okay, so rebounding is silly, ridiculous, embarrassing, and goofy.
And why is that? Why do we think, let's start with always the why. Why do we think that that is the the perception of rebounding? What has caused the reputation of rebounding to fall into the silly category?
I think that there's this concept, and that is that kind of doing this like up and down motion is almost like you're watching a cartoon character be funny, and the character is kind of like like flying around, floating and jumping, and it makes kids laugh. And so that could be kind of deep inside our perspective of like what it looks like to be in this up and down motion. But I also think that there is a lot of content shared on social media that is almost, well, some of it is targeted at making fun of rebounding, but some of it is actually genuine people getting a really fun workout. But their attire, their clothing attire is chosen based on hopefully maybe, well, entertainment, trying to get views, but like we see kind of elaborate clothing, colors and decor, like sweatbands, kind of taking it back to the 90s. And then we'll see a lot of coordinated jumping in sync kind of routines where they're all kind of doing it in the same format, and it's usually really, really high intensity, and it's really like meant for entertainment and meant to be made fun of. Or is that true? Is it meant to be serious, really serious? I don't think so, because they usually have a overly passionate or overly enthusiastic look on their face. So this is one way to translate this certain image of rebounding. Now we go back to the 80s and 90s, and we might see the women in jumpsuits, leotards, and jumping. Do you see any content from the 80s of women jumping? I'm not sure if I'm too familiar, but I think maybe some of you are familiar with when jumping was popular in the 80s and maybe 90s.
Yeah.
But see, that's what we're just kind of discover and talk about the misconception of, is rebounding silly? Yes, maybe it is.
There are some GIFs. There's one of the guys in one of those TV shows. I wish that I knew exactly which TV show it was.
It's in our
Will
and Grace.
Yes, and he's jumping, and it's kind of making fun of that. And then there are some other trendy reels that are going on where there are some, just kind of making rebounding seem a little bit, goofy, but at the same time, I get that approach. I get why we're really having fun when we jump. And so I can see how easy it is to go ahead and express ourselves in that way while we're jumping, and then to have it be caught on film, and I get it. And so I think that we're going to get into more. We have discovered that there are different ways of rebounding. And so maybe in the synchronized choreography, jumping kind of way, that is one way to do it, and it can be really fun. I imagine being in those classes and having it be fun, because you're learning the choreography, and then you're doing it, and then you're adding more to it, and it's engaging, and you're with people, and once you get it all down and you have it on film, I can see it being like rewarding, and you're like, hey, I'm a part of this group of people.
For sure.
And I feel good, and I got a workout, and so it can totally go both ways.
Yeah, we can both see it like it's effective. For sure, it's fun.
Yes.
But then it can be kind of a target, and
it absolutely can, because
it can change the reputation of rebounding.
Absolutely. All of these misconceptions of rebounding are true for some people at some time in their life. And so it's not true for everyone, and it's not true forever. And so as we come into some of the other beliefs talking about, what we think rebounding actually does for the body, it will, come back to the silliness that sometimes we can see online and associate that silliness with not getting any results.
So we won't go too far into all of these because there's quite a few of them, but just want to cover the misconception where some of you might be able to relate or understand, where there might be a community or a generation, an age group that will look at rebounding and they'll automatically think rebounding is for kids. And it's simply that. It's simply for children or for kids. There also could be a community of and a generation that looks at rebounding and thinks rebounding is for seniors. So there's this kind of both ends of the scale. What is it? Which is it? Is it for kids or is it for seniors?
And remember, we were
or
going
is
to
it
say
for both?
Rebounding with a handlebar is for seniors.
That's
and then
the second part of that equation, because it can be both. Obviously, without a handlebar, it's not happening.
Mini trampolines are usually like made for kids. There are mini trampolines, and those are typically made for kids. So
Every kid should have a mini trampoline.
Absolutely. But I want to say that we all need to understand that equipment changes for obviously our different age range, whether we're kids or whether we're adults. There's only the two. And so kids rebounders, it's just like mini dumbbells or mini barbells for kids versus an adult rebounder. We're talking about two completely different pieces of fitness equipment, not even beginning to mention all the different kinds of rebounders there are out there on the market.
So that can be a question we get a lot, like, can I use my kid's trampoline? And we'd say, well,
and then the handlebar. Let's go into that next before you go to the next one.
Oh, are you sure?
Well, we were talking about how the misconception is that seniors using handlebar is for seniors and rebounding with a handlebar is for seniors.
Or it's strictly for beginners or for those with balance issues.
With handlebars for beginners and balance.
If there's anyone telling you that you should use a handlebar if you're only if you're a beginner, only if you have balance issues, or only if you're a senior, then ultimately you're missing out on the opportunity to have a bar, because holding a bar is a performance bar.
What were you saying earlier? You were saying, we were just talking about how...
Oh yeah, if you're at the gym and we're gonna make sure you do not have a bar or something to hold on to, no support allowed, then you don't get to touch the handrails when you're on the treadmill.
Nope.
You don't get to touch the handlebars when you're on the elliptical. You don't get to touch the handrails. Nope. When you're on the Stairmaster, nope, no handlebar allowed unless you have balance issues.
Well, we're not trying to
senior.
attack, but we just want to make the point that it's a misconception, because when we have the handlebar, we can tell where we are in space, because we are jumping up in space.
No hands riding your bike.
No hands. And so we have this handlebar, and now we can use our rebounder in so many more ways.
It is the way to use a rebounder. It is a handlebar.
But we're coming in with a balanced approach, and that is if you don't have a handlebar,
we balance each other out.
We do. We can jump on a rebounder without a handlebar, and we can have a lot of fun working our core muscles and staying in the center of the mat. But again, I think that leads to a different kind of training. It leads to more cardio movement.
No handlebar?
No handlebar. And it also increases risk. And iJump instead is here to lower risk to the absolute bottom of the possibility of any risk. And we're also doing rebounding differently. We're not here to just bust out the choreography cardio. We're here to body build, and we're introducing the aerobics into the bodybuilding movement. And aerobics really is breath work. Aerobics is getting into a rhythm where we're nose breathing and we're staying in this zone while we're bodybuilding. We're evolving. We did a lot of bodybuilding movements in our trophy body training and a lot of higher intensity movements, but we've brought the intensity down. We were mouth breathing in those trophy body training programs as well. But those programs are where we started, and they built the foundation of our bodies. They're on our website for a one-time $30 purchase for each trophy body training program. And so those are great, and we still recommend those to this day. But now our daily workouts that we offer in our YouTube membership are aerobic bodybuilding, and we're here for it. And then again, we're constantly evolving, even in those classes, bringing you the best of the best.
Okay, so we always use a handlebar.
Yes.
The bar, though, is optional to use, just like it's optional to take your hands off a bar when you're on a treadmill or when you're using elliptical or when you're on a stationary bike.
That's
it's like
right.
you want to do both, right? You want to be able to hold the bar or you want to remove your
Bingo.
hands off the bar. So rebounding is for coordinated dancers. I'll just briefly
say that you're about to say another misconception,
yeah,
so it doesn't all blend together.
This is another belief or just translation of jumping, that it's only for coordinated people or dancers or something like that. Ultimately, rebounding builds coordination. So if you feel like it's only for people that are coordinated and that can, just step in on the beat and be very, focused on synchronicity and symmetry, it's like that will come with jumping and practicing jumping, and holding the bar is going to help establish that as well. Coordination is greatly improved when jumping.
Quick question I want to answer. It says, what are your thoughts on the leaps and rebounds rebounder? That rebounder we have never tried before.
Yes,
we have.
Remember, I sold it. I got it for free and I sold it.
Oh, tell them all about it, because I don't have any memory.
Okay, I struggled with it because I was under the impression that it was going to be too soft, so I asked for the stronger bungees, and it was so hard. I couldn't believe the bounce. It was firmer and tight and rock hard, like
so you were having issues with your bungee strength, but that doesn't mean it's not a good rebounder.
So then I had them send me a more gentle bungee set, a set of bungees to replace. They only sent me half of the amount of bungees I needed. So then when I replaced half of the strong bungees with medium intensity bungees, it was still too firm. So I ended up selling it or donating.
So unfortunately, we don't have a really good experience on that rebounder.
It's a kid's rebounder.
Whoa, wait. We know that rebounder has come through our Facebook group, and people have said that rebounder has been good to them. So I want you to know that rebounder could potentially have merit. You tell us what your experience is on it.
Yeah.
And over the years, it's possible that one will come into our lives and we'll be able to give a very fair review. But we know that there are other rebounder instructors out there that have gone to lengths buying all of the rebounders and reviewing them all, and that might be a good place for you to go, because once you jump on the Cellar Sizer rebounder, it's like pulling teeth to jump on any other rebounder, because it's like after you drive like a really super sleek, fast, smooth car, you don't ever want to ride in a golf cart again. And I don't mean that it sounds like talking smack, but it's like your whole perspective changes once you've driven the Cellar Sizer.
I do think that we get to a point potentially in the fitness industry fully exposing jumping to the entire world. We're going to get to a point where the standard of fitness equipment is in a category where the material is strong, and we're really focused on protecting everyone to the best of our ability when it comes to the joint health and the potency of the ability to pump the lymphatic system, to strengthen the joints and the cells without any jarring whatsoever. So when I say kids, I'm being, I tenderly say that because there are some of you that are enjoying the kid-like rebounder or the more budget-friendly unit, and that's ultimately where I'm thinking one day the budget-friendly units will kind of fall into that category of these are better suited for kids, because we want to have durability. We want to be able to jump on a rebounder.
We're not there yet, though, so we don't want
our weight. Yeah. Okay. And
yes, we're getting more questions
goes
too
both
here.
ways.
Well, really good questions.
Okay.
We'll get to those in just a second.
So let me just dial these in real quick. Rebounding worsens pelvic. This is a belief or a misconception, a common misconception. Rebounding worsens pelvic floor weakness, and ultimately it's not safe because I'm experiencing fill in the blank, like arthritis or a back injury or a knee replacement, or just fill in the blanks. There's a lot of rebounding won't work for me because I have this or because I have a weak pelvic floor, and ultimately that's going to make it weaker. Ultimately, I'll just sum this up, when we get a quality resistance mat in our home with a handlebar, the goal is to begin the therapy of standing on this flexible surface and getting the body into a gentle motion up and down, just like you would in a physical therapy office. If this were to be sitting in your physical therapy office and your physical therapist were to tell you that we're going to begin with a very gentle health bounce, or even just pressing down in the mat to begin the strengthening of any of the things listed, I listed, or if it comes to even the pelvic floor weakness. When we start by pressing down, we're going into the gravity in a new way. We're connecting to our proprioception, we're connecting to our nervous system, we're connecting to our muscles, and ultimately this will evolve into a gentle bounce. So these very, very baby steps, beginning stages of connecting your body to an up and down motion, it has nothing to do with, it's vastly different from vigorous jumping. So we have a responsibility to present the option of the baby steps of introducing the rebounding into your world, which will be stepping on the rebounder and maybe even just standing on the uneven surface. That alone is a powerful, with holding the bar, that alone is a powerful way to connect to balancing mechanisms and to strengthening in certain areas. You could potentially be in the stages of rehab and recovery where that's all you can manage is standing on an uneven surface and your body goes, ooh, 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 that's enough, I'm gonna step off of it. There is our advancement in our rehabilitation. And then we can start to maybe do a little bit more pressing. So misconceptions would be that rebounding isn't for me because we're not getting enough people understanding that there is a way to safely integrate the surface of a resistance mat beneath our feet. And we need to help you, and we want to help you understand that there's always an opportunity to use it, even if you would just be putting your butt on it, bouncing gently on your butt, or even lying on your back if that feels comfortable, maybe putting your feet on an elevated stool, and then having someone stand over you while you are laying comfortably on your back, feet on either side on the mat, gently bouncing so your spine is flat. And this would put a circulation, gentle pump and bounce on your back where there's no compression on the spine whatsoever. And imagine the spine circulation and strengthening opportunity, the motion opportunity, the healing opportunity if someone were to put your spine under a gentle pump compared to not doing this at all, compared to maybe just standing and doing rehab workout or rehab exercises in the upright position. Consider this and the little bit of a pump, and this could be, like I said, baby steps to connecting you to safe rebounding, and hopefully we can get you fully recovered and back and get you on your feet and jumping.
It's typically a misconception when someone's coming to rebounding with a weakness. And so I see the comments here talking about, Anna, you say you've never heard that rebounding wasn't good. You say, I've heard that rebounding was good for the pelvic floor. And it is because it strengthens every cell in the body. But when someone comes to rebounding with a pelvic floor weakness, they can only imagine that now we're tugging on that weakness. So now that weakness is going to get exacerbated. And so we need to help people understand that there is a way to use the rebounder to begin to strengthen the body, and the rebounder that we're bouncing on will make a huge difference too. Because let's be real, you go into a physical therapy office and if there's 10 rebounders, they all might feel different to bounce
and
on
offer something
and respond differently in the body. And so that's a big conversation. I also want to get into quick question. Morning wake up, upper body, lower body, total body, nighttime, de-stress, and face work. Well, you could find all of those routines right now on YouTube and put them into a playlist that you can create on your YouTube account, and you could have that be your weekly routine. We're going live now every day, and so it is our main focus to get people doing a 30-minute daily full body workout 6 days a week with us. And so it's a phenomenal idea, and it would take all of our time to do that, and I'm writing the ebook right now, and Stephanie's trying to focus on getting more content out on Instagram. And so as I Jump Instead grows, we're going to hire more people, and we're going to be able to have help. And when we do that, then we can definitely have all sorts of programs that we create and more content on YouTube. We can make more morning routines, more evening routines, a tutorial showing how to do what Stephanie was talking about, where you lay on your back and you have someone gently bounce you for rehabbing your back in that horizontal position where your spine is decompressed and you're totally relaxed. And you could feel instant relief and feel better by the hour by having that happen. And we could make those tutorials and have all those work. I mean, we want to do it all. We want to do it all. What does the future look like for I Jump Instead? Well, funny you ask. I mean, we don't have any secrets to reveal yet, but there are things that happening. And it's because, you know, we are changes in the air. And so, but for now, we're really trying to, like I just said, really round up top priorities for what we want to be putting online. And since we have already put so much time and energy into a lot of workouts on our YouTube channel, we want to put more new ones out there, but we also want to stay focused on our membership, putting content out there on Instagram, potentially putting some ads out so we can get more eyes on rebounding, because she and I offer a unique way to rebound, and we want more people to know about us so that they can choose to jump instead with us if they desire and achieve similar results to us, because we have results that we feel really do stand out, and we are wanting you to have the exact same results, because we know how deep of a desire it was for us to have these results since we found them and achieved them with our Cellar Sizer and also with our starch-based diet. We want you to know that and be able to do that as well, which is why I'm writing this ebook, so that you can have all the information you need to grab these results, these beautiful, symmetrical, strong, healthy, flexible muscle bodies that have very nice, good, low body fat with so excellent body composition. We're talking health. We're talking hormonal health, longevity. We're not just here to, you know, push hard, high intensity training and push things that aren't going to make your hormones healthier. We're here to help you because we've gone through it all.
My turn, because this segues into the next one. The next four, I'm gonna just put up. I'm gonna list them all for the misconceptions belief. Rebounding is strictly for cardio. Rebounding does not build muscle. You've heard it. You've heard these all before, or you've believed them before. Lifting weights, strength training is the most efficient way to achieve hypertrophy and progressive overload. And this is going to be the biggest mic drop of our whole video today. Okay?
Ooh,
this is actually not about
what is
jumping.
This? What are you
it's
dropping?
It's about weightlifting. Okay?
Oh.
The misconception.
Oh, okay.
But is it the misconception?
I think that a misconception might be one way to describe it, but I think it's just a question that people have when they first find out about rebounding.
No.
They have an initial instinct. Yeah. Good.
Okay, so this is about lifting weights, right? The misconception and belief that weightlifting makes women bulky.
Oh, yeah, that's not a misconception. Women are getting
bulky.
Okay,
so that's why I said
but that's what they want, and they can have that.
Sorry. The weightlifters are doing they're living their last day on earth to make sure that women believe that that's a misconception.
In bodybuilding, it's always about comparing body to body. And so when you compare a trophy body with a weightlifter body, then there's a difference in size, and we can call that bulk.
Okay, so what I believe is what you said, but when it comes to women building muscle and how we build muscle, because we talked about that when we build muscle with heavy weights, ultimately we're breaking down tissue and building up tissue in such an aggressive way that it can cause more scar tissue buildup.
It does.
There's
no question about
which
that.
Which results long term, year after year after year after year after year, it results in a harder, less flexible muscle.
Right.
So these muscles would potentially be the translation of the common or the the general public's view, the female general public's view of bulky
They
would be
sit
that
pretty.
the muscles are hard. Okay,
Hard.
that's one way, because if the muscles are really like lean, or not lean but smaller, this wouldn't make the muscle look bulky, but they're hard and they are kind of fuller because of the heavy weightlifting. So, but women, weightlifters will disagree that it makes them bulky. But what I'm believing is that when it comes to the distribution of muscle on a female's body, where women will tend to build muscle with that makes them not just bulky, but it can go in the masculine direction, would be if a woman builds too much chest muscles, and if a woman builds too much depth and back muscles.
Traps.
Traps. Because when from the side, right here, as Sally's sitting to the side from towards me, right here, this being wider is great on a man. But when it gets wider on a woman, ultimately a woman does want to have healthy skeletal muscle tissue through the chest and back. That is not what I'm saying.
No,
but what
I am
saying,
thinking that. Don't worry.
Okay, but what I am saying is that
It's
when there's just the right proportion of muscle on the chest and the back, and then the arms are nice and full and solid of flexible muscle tissue, this can ultimately end up being a more feminine look. But what really
women.
Ultimately for women,
So how do men build more?
but what ultimately happens is when anybody, any man or any gender jumps on a rebounder, the rebounder is going to create a proportionate muscle tissue that builds throughout the entire body. And hormones will play a role with how much muscle is built and where muscle is built. And we absolutely are in control of how much muscle we build, because if a woman if a woman out there wants to build beautiful chest muscle, they can go after it and build more than someone who doesn't go after it as much. And the same goes for the back. But ultimately, the rebounder on a high resistance rebounder mat, in our opinion, or to some degree, if you are going after muscle, your muscle is only going to build at a capacity that keeps your joints, tendons, and ligaments strong and happy in balance with your minor and major muscle groups. So when your minor and major muscles build in your thighs, they're not going to outgrow your knee strength. You're going to have a proportion to knee strength, hip strength, and exactly how much development is correlating and is working cohesively with your knees and ankles and hips. And same with your shoulders and elbows. How much muscle you can build is only going to be, it's going to work as a team with your elbow and shoulders. And then with the chest and the spine, everything builds evenly and symmetrically.
Absolutely. Can I interject?
When it comes to men, what were you going to say?
Well, I think hormones play a huge role, and men have, they're more testosterone, so then they grow bigger, right? Women have less, but then they grow proportion to their female body.
The muscles are more flexible.
Right.
So they don't get hard looking.
We want you to know that you can go after any goal you want. That's cool. And we know too that since hormones play a super big, important role in your overall shape and body
and health,
it almost is like you can jump all day long, but if you don't have those other tools of your house that are building your house, you don't have those strong, like your strong hammer and your strong screwdriver and your strong, chainsaw, or things that cut wood and all the things, right? Then you're not going to be able to build your house in a nice, even proportioned way. Your house is gonna be a little tilted. So she and I have been learning as we've been going, what are the most important lifestyle habits that we can start to infuse into our lives in order to find this balance in our hormones. And that's what's coming out in my ebook, which is the perfect segue for the next question that just came in. I'm really looking forward to your ebook. In the meantime, can you recommend your top book for diet to complement rebounding? I struggle with diet the most, especially sugar consumption. Oh, my trophy Julie lady, I want you to know that from my experience, from our experience, and from everything that we've been listening to and learning as of late, we have concluded, and we already had concluded, that the body runs primarily on glucose, and then the secondary fuel source is fat, meaning the body wants to run on glucose, or if glucose carbohydrate isn't present, then it will run on fat, ketones, ketosis. But what we need to do is follow our fuel rule, which is one of the concepts I'm bringing to my ebook. And that means that you really need to honor, if you want to eat sugar and you want to have a carbohydrate focused diet, then you need to stick with that fuel. And the healthiest carbohydrate sources, sugar sources out there are starches. And so we recommend that you have that be the foundation of your diet, meaning every meal is based on starches, whether it's bread, oatmeal, beans, corn tortillas, white tortillas, rice, and potatoes, sweet potatoes. And there are other starches out there. You can do a Google search. We like AI now because Google's just too all over the place. So you can do an AI search and you can ask for the list of starches. Pick your favorites and stick with them, and then complement your meals with a little bit of the other two macronutrients, fats and proteins, as you desire them. But know that if you start to add in too much of these other two macronutrients, you're going to have fuel confusion, and that's what's going to cause insulin spikes. Now, you could already be coming from a diet that has caused confusion in your body. So then you're going to have a transition period where you're going to now need to readapt to following one fuel and one fuel only. And so understand that that transition period, who knows what's going to happen with insulin. It's going to go up and down. Blood sugar is going to go up and down. You might be moody. You might be excited. You might be craving. You might be hungry. You might lose your appetite, have more appetite, lose sleep, lose energy, gain energy. You might
lose weight, gain weight.
Lose weight, gain weight. All of that is going to have to settle itself in order for you to find yourself adapted to this new language of following your fuel rule. And so it applies to fat as well. If you want to skip the transition period, screw that, I'm not gonna eat sugar, sugar's bad, starches are gonna spike my blood sugar, fine. Eliminate carbs and stick to your fuel rule, which is fats. So now you need to eat plenty of avocados, plenty of olives, you need to have healthy oils, you need to have follow your fuel rule. And I'm sure you could look it up on AI, what fats are the best sources for me to fuel my body and stay in ketosis. And know too that fiber is very, very important. And so fiber is 100% taken care of on a starch-based diet, which is why it's the primary fuel source for the body, because the fiber comes effortlessly in starches. So if you're not on a starch-based diet, you're on the keto diet with fats as your fuel source, you do need to supplement with fiber. And so you need to have high fiber vegetables in your diet to complement the fats, and then you will be smooth sailing, no sugar, stay away from it. When you're on the starch diet, I don't tell you to stay away from fat and protein. I just want you to reduce it down. And if at any point you're noticing indigestion or confusion, then you need to reduce your fats and proteins down until you find that balance. Because some people have found it to be an 80-20 rule where they feel good, even 90-10. There have been influencers in our past that have suggested 95-5. There have been influencers that also are to this day eating more 60-40. So, and they're doing okay. And so it's up to you. But we, if you want to know what we're doing, tend to eat closer to 90% of our diet coming from bread, cereals,
It
potatoes,
comes out to 80%
beans,
carbohydrates.
rice, potatoes, I already said, corn tortillas, and then
It comes out to 80% of our calories are coming
80.
from carbohydrates, 10%-ish coming from protein, 10%-ish coming from.
but the proteins are in the carbohydrates, which takes that 80 to 90.
That's 90% of our plate.
Of our diet is starch.
Starch.
Yes, and we're not
Hopefully
like
that's not
calculating, but we allow the veggies and the fruits to come in, as well as we like country crock. It's just something that we're eating now. It might evolve. We have evolved through the years. So I can't recommend a book to you. I know that was your original question, but I want to tell you. I want to tell you to read The Starch Solution, but that's the Starch Solution really hones in on vegan and no oil, and we don't think. If that's the way you want to go, then you absolutely can.
Or you can read the book, understand why starches is an option out there.
Absolutely.
Eating a higher carbohydrate, lower fat is an option, and then you can incorporate animal products and oils as desired in small quantities. It's not gonna kill you. It's going to actually help you to stay more consistent eating a starch-based diet. That's how we feel, and that's why we are still on the starch-based diet 9 years later.
Let me answer real quick. Someone says, may I ask your age? We were born in July of 1984.
Makes us 40 this year.
40 this year. What supplements are you guys taking? I take 0 supplements. It's not like I think you should take 0. I have taken B12 in the past. I no longer take B12. Do I take all my blood tests and make sure that I am nailing all of my, vitamins and minerals that I should be getting in the day? No, but I also really am in tune with how I'm feeling and how I'm flowing through the month. I love getting vitamin D. And if, I do get blood work regularly, and if something is low, I would go after it and make sure to bring it up into balance. But hormones play a huge role in how balanced we are in our vitamin and mineral levels. And so the hormones need to be brought into balance potentially before we start taking the supplements, because if we can add in these superpowers, as I'm liking to call them, I'm liking calling them, our body can all of a sudden produce more of the vitamins and minerals, or absorb more of the vitamins and minerals from our food.
We encourage you to take supplements if you need them, or if you feel you need them.
Absolutely.
And then incorporating all the superpowers in the book.
Yeah, in my ebook, and I'll tell you all of them at the end of this video.
I do have ashwagandha in my drawer next to my bed that I'll take once in a while. I have a bottle of magnesium supplements. I'll take those once in a while.
Yeah.
And there's one more, B12. I also have B12.
The AI that we use is called ChatGPT. That's what we use. And Patty says she just bought her cellar sizer. Cowie K says, aloha guys. I see you all here. Christopher is here. Hi, Christopher. Paulina would love to hear. That was the supplements question. And then Heather was the one that asked your age, our age. And then Sarah is here. Hi, Sarah. And Brenda. I just want to acknowledge every single one of you. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us on this Friday night and learning from us. Yeah. And there is one little trick. I don't know. They say if you tap the screen, it can help push the video just through algorithm.
Heart it.
Yeah, you can give us a little heart or something, but that's just if you want to.
All right. Well, I'm gonna take you into. I'm gonna first say, with our diet, with the fuel choice that we've made, being just one or the other. That diet combined with jumping has given us this kind of, we've described it as kind of like we get to be bodybuilders when we're working out and when we flex and when we're showing our muscle.
What's the conception? I missed it.
Oh, no, I'm going into the next thing. So with our menu and with jumping, we get to have this combo physical reality where when we're jumping and when we're flexing, our muscles just kind of come out of nowhere and explode when we're training and when we are flexing.
Ooh, and our muscles are all full of blood.
Anytime. And then when we're relaxed and when we go out for the night and when we, meet up with friends and go to parties and go to dinners and all those things.
Parties
it's
and
like
dinners.
The muscle just hides.
So popular.
The muscle then just kind of goes inward and it hides very delicately and gracefully. And we still have like a lean, toned, small look, but we don't have a muscular look. That's a hard.
We don't
have a hard muscle,
but we're lean.
But so we want to dare we say have like a supermodel bodybuilder physique, And that's what we represent when we go out in the town. And I don't know if there's any woman out there that doesn't want that combo. It's a supermodel bodybuilder combo.
We didn't know that was what was
didn't
going to
know,
happen
but
with
I'm
our
just-
starches and jumping.
I'm saying that's it's, you know, we get you know, comments and things, and we see each other, and it just feels so nice. And that's what we are hoping to
It's new
help
to
you
us.
understand is with the flexible muscle. The muscle
Yes.
doesn't just sit there and be firm and kind of be dominating and overpower. The muscle stays relaxed. And then they say, wow, you're just so, you know, toned and healthy. And then
Feminine.
if I were to flex, then it gets a little out of control. Then
Yeah. We
the
can
guns,
flex.
Then the guns pop out.
Flex for them so that they know. We've got beautiful deltoids, a nice deltoid bicep ratio,
Yeah.
and then
And
we've
the
got
legs are really toned,
the
and we have
lats.
nice carbs in our tummy.
The lats.
And we have booties and lower
I
backs.
still have a little bit of loose skin in my stomach.
Because we need to stretch it out. So there's a hashtag
That's
going
right.
out.
Lengthen.
There's a hashtag going out. It's strong, not skinny, and the
yes.
goal is to help women to focus on any age woman to focus on being strong, like eating enough
right.
calories, eating enough nutrition, and focusing on resistance training and making sure that the muscles get healthy and get, you know, more dense and get developed a little
Nourished.
bit. And so I want to say hashtag strong and skinny rather than hashtag strong not skinny, because we get to be both.
Ooh, I love.
We get to be both. We don't.
That's right.
We want to include skinny because I know that it's kind of an old concept for women to want to be trim.
Yeah.
That's what women identify with, and that's what some of us identify with. It's being, you know, it's kind of our instinct to want to be slight, but we get to be also strong and muscular and quite developed. We weigh 125 to 130 pounds, and we're 5'7". So if you do the math, or, you know, if you figured out what that weight would be for you, you might recognize that we actually are quite dense.
Right.
We actually have quite a bit of weight on our body from this muscle, which means
healthy.
it's proof that we have skeletal muscle tissue throughout our entire bodies. And if you go to our Instagram, you'll see when we flex, we just are kind of crazy buff looking, and then we also
Some
pull
angles.
off
Some people
angles.
think that we look underweight.
And then some people
Just
might
angles.
not see the muscle
Yeah, it's
on
just
our body
angles.
and then they go, you're not developed rebounding yet, it doesn't build the muscle.
Yeah.
And then we just say, well, you missed the photo that we're flexing
Yeah,
in.
and I want to say too, sometimes we like to break words down to their exact meaning, like flexible and flexible, flex-able, flexible, and that one letter in the middle that screws everything up. But skinny, skin,
Skinny,
knee,
like your skin.
like
Is
you
that-
have thin, you have what is it called?
Supple
What
skin,
the skin that doesn't have body, subcutaneous, isn't that the word? You don't have a bunch of subcutaneous fat. You see your beautiful skin laying over your muscles.
healthy skeletal muscle tissue.
And then the muscle is healthy.
So healthy, so flexible. So
Did we know
it
this when we
circulates.
found rebounding?
It's
No.
so healthy, and we think it's the muscle that doesn't ever go away.
Yeah.
Because I believe
Well,
with
you have
all
to
my
keep
heart that
jumping,
to
but
some
you can take
degree,
breaks.
all you would have to do would be gentle bouncing for like 15 minutes a day. You wouldn't even have to play. You could just jump, and you would maintain all the muscle, which means that we could be jumping until end of life and maintaining that joint health, that circulation, that lymphatic pumping.
You'll never
the-
get
the
tired of
muscle
jumping.
tissue.
It's like when
never
we're
get
kids.
tired. The face. Did we mention the face and
Oh,
the
the
jawline
face.
and the neck and the chiseledness that's happening?
This was like the first and the arms, because when we started our jumping journey, we did a lot of sit bouncing, and maybe with the sit bouncing, it just really targeted the arms and face and our legs, our stomachs. But sit bouncing is a lot on the back, and so we want to just incorporate it a little bit. But anyhow, this was the first to get trimmed down.
Our faces got smaller.
Now, over
away.
excess alcohol can cause inflammation, and so having it in moderation doesn't cause that. I want to answer some questions. Michelle says, "Where do you buy your products?" We have programs on our website. We have.
Is that what she means?
I'm just trying to cover it. We do have like merch pillows and backpacks. Oh my gosh, they're the best backpacks on our website. And then we have rebounder rugs that we have. We like the idea of you using those for the cellar sizer. Oh, actually, any rebounder. Maybe it would be better to,
So
we
cute.
use them for when we do oiling on our cellar sizer, and we don't mind that the oil drips on the rebounder, but it's $100 and we make zero profit on it because we didn't want to put any profit on the rebounder rug because we want you to be able to have a rug that you feel like you can have under your cellar sizer and then drip oil on it. But if you don't have a cellar sizer, it will never get dirty like that. And so it's a beautiful rug that doesn't have a stick back, so you can slide it around hardwood floors. That's the only purpose you would need it. And then Michelle, you say which one to buy.
Oh, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna
This
get
is
into
the
that.
cellar sizer. Again, it's on our website. And then the other products, we aren't affiliated with the rebounder outfit. I'm sorry, rebounder, the workout outfits that we wear, but we have them linked in the description of all of our YouTube videos. And then we also are not affiliated with Jam's World, but they are our favorite clothing brand. And then Ariat is our favorite boot brand, but we're not affiliated with any of those. And so I don't think you were talking about those, but I do have a couple more questions. Okay, so actually, no, go.
Do we lift weights to achieve our results? Like, do we lift weights also while jumping? We answered
We're
this
lifting.
question, but we're not lifting.
The weight of gravity.
We are bearing. How about that? If that word, if
Yeah.
that you understand that word, what we're doing is we're bearing weight of gravity.
But let's keep the word lifting and use it because the muscles don't know the difference when we're defying gravity. Muscles don't know. Muscle cannot calculate if you're lifting iron or if you're bearing the weight of gravity increased. And so, but your joints know. High five.
High five.
The joints know.
Ah.
I was thinking about this because I was carrying something heavy today, and all of the weight of what I was carrying went straight to my back, my lumbar. I was like, oh hell no. I was like, I cannot believe. Look, I know that doctors alike out there in the world that are recommending that women heavy lift and weight lift and weight lift and weight lift some more. I know why. It's because they're wanting you to be healthy and strong. And they don't know about rebounding, and maybe they don't trust in rebounding. But
They
I
don't know about it.
I
don't think they know.
can't
Or trust.
imagine.
I just went through the same cycle.
Yeah,
in my
I can't
head,
imagine
which is
though. Now that I'm a rebounding enthusiast and know about the cellar sizer, I am like, I can't believe that these women are hoping that you translate their message and stay safe. Because they know, they've been through it. Every deadlift they do, every barbell they pick up, they
Where they're this
know
close to
that their
injury.
back is this close to doing something. Or when they pick up, oh my gosh, I see it all the time now.
Lifting, like,
these big dumbbells
tricep.
and they're doing tricep lifts. I'm like, that elbow, like seriously. And so it's our job. This is something Huberman would say. If you don't have the facts, then I'm not doing my job to get the facts out there. And so again, more opportunity for us to make videos for you to be able to learn all the facts. And so more facts are coming every week with these lives. And then in our workouts, we're constantly talking. Have you noticed?
I try not to do as much talking. So I want to talk about, okay, so we don't have a fitness background, by the way. We came from, we did what your average person would do, just some biking, some jogging,
Yeah.
over
Some swimming,
over the
some
decades,
yoga.
but not ever consistently. We were 50 pounds heavier.
Yes.
Which means, were we fit?
But we were 50
We weren't
pounds
stacking
heavier
muscle.
for the wrong reasons.
We were not stacking muscle.
Not getting into
At
that.
180 pounds. We were stacking, well, fat, subcutaneous, and probably visceral fat.
Oh my gosh, liver. Our livers were loaded.
Okay, so do we lift weights? We do not lift weights on the side. We only jump, and we do a series of, we do many things. We do warm-ups,
Right.
we do cardio movements, but that's the foundation of all of rebounding, basically.
Contracting.
We contract and lengthen.
Lengthen.
And I want to actually read something real quick. With rebounding and lengthening. So lengthening, I was just talking about this. Extreme lengthening is a form of tension or achieving hypertrophy. And let me talk about that. When rebounding, the muscles undergo a natural cycle of stretching and contracting in response to the forces of acceleration, the upward bounce, and deceleration when landing in the mat. During the upward acceleration phase, as you push off the mat to jump, the muscles, especially in the legs, shorten and contract. So when we land,
I didn't know this.
when we come up, they shorten. They shorten and contract.
That makes sense.
To generate the force needed to lift the body.
Yes, kind of like when you're compressed back in your seat in the fighter jet, your body shrinks back because it's getting pulled tight back.
So when you're coming up, the muscles shorten and contract.
Yes, and then when you're coming down,
this is known as concentric contraction, where the muscles actively work to push you off the surface. At the peak of the bounce, your muscles briefly stretch or lengthen. This stretch is more passive as gravity pulls you back down, and it's part of the eccentric phase of muscle activity. This momentary stretch triggers the stretch reflex mechanism, which prepares, so this mechanism prepares your muscle for the landing. It's like how the body psychologically works and is functioning neurologically to the muscles, which prepares your muscles to contract and absorb the shock of the landing.
So the reflex is a contraction. It's like an innate
your muscles
response.
Get ready for impact, low impact on a rebounder, preventing what would be overstretching or injury. It's like your muscles are in this constant preparation flex when you jump, and it's preventing the muscle from overstretching or becoming injured. It's like in a protection mode.
So what you're saying is
tension release.
You don't even have to flex.
Flexibility. You don't even have to flex because the muscles flex for you. So the legs,
they're reflexing.
They're talking about the legs. So when you land into, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, the legs get the most. And I think that the core would get a little bit less, and then the arms get the least. If you have a high tension, high quality resistance mat, then you're more into your arms and face, also face, arms, core, and legs. But if the mat is not ultimately offering that actual pump, that resistance, that quality resistance, then it's going to be more targeted at the legs. So it's possible that when it comes to it, between bungees and the spring cellerciser will help to apply more resistance to the face and to the arms, simply because the mat is offering more contraction of the muscles because the resistance of the mat.
There's no way that we can prove how anybody else in the rebounding industry has achieved their results. We've heard that there is a bungee user specifically that's in my mind that has achieved all of her results on a bungee rebounder, and she looks great. I also know one more thing about her, and that she follows her fuel rule, and her fuel rule is no carb. And what also comes with no carb is that drop.
Low carb.
Okay, I'll be fair. And then that water retention drops too when you're not having carbo.
The muscles are revealed. It's
hydrate. So the reaction of the body is to retain less water. Now, retaining water is a good thing. It's healthy to nourish ourselves with hydration. Look at the earth. The earth is so high water and salt, which is another important mineral that we have in our bodies. But when our bodies have had confusion from fuel confusion, just too many of the macronutrients rather than focus on one specific one, then there is imbalances and potentially more fluid retention and inflammation, a constant state of inflammation going on. And so I know that there are multiple points here that were made. Let's get back to the bungees and results. We don't know for sure what's going on, and we cannot prove 100% that a bungee rebounder isn't going to be able to sculpt your face and your arms, but we do know
that's when if you start to contract,
you can
and lift
contract
your arms,
yes,
you will add
you
more.
can still build,
but it's possible that you don't need to do as much.
Well, that we can say for sure is that this you don't have to work as hard. 100%.
Let me actually just sum up what I said about the eccentric and eccentric and decentric, or acceleration, and anyway. In summary, during rebounding, the muscles stretch slightly at the top of the bounce and contract forcefully upon landing. to control movement, absorb shock, and prevent overstretching through the stretch reflex. This cycle of stretching and contraction builds strength, coordination, and flexibility while protecting muscles from injury. So this up and down stretch flex, it helps to it reduces the risk of injury overall because of the muscle contractions. It's like preparing for it, like we said. But this is building coordination. It's absolutely building strength.
100.
And it's building flexibility. Flexible muscles.
Absolutely.
It's going to be the new craze. You won't want to lift weights. You'll want to build these flexible muscles because they're healthier.
Yes, absolutely. And I love the comment section right now. And I love that there's back and forth. And I love that you know, everyone's allowed to give their advice. This is free speech here. Give your advice, take advice, do your research. It's just everything, you know, it's talking about protein and talking about rebounding and all sorts of things. And lifting heavy and stuff like that. And that's the beauty is as long as we're safe and as long as we're reaching our health goals, we can do anything we absolutely want. You know, losing 10 pounds is good for you. Do you need to lose 20 more? Are you getting that last 20 pounds off? We often hear people come in and talk about their diets and say, I'm feeling the best I've ever felt. I've lost 10 pounds. So there's no chance that your diet is going to work for me. And my response is, all I want is for you to live long and healthily and happily for the rest of your life. And so if you're there, then that makes me sleep at night. The last thing I want to do is be knowing that you're miserable or unhappy because of whatever reason, whether you don't have the facts that you need or that, you know, you're not getting to where you want to be. And if you're following my advice and you're not getting to where you want to be, that's possible too, because as we can all see, there's no one way to do it. And that's why even my idea of following your fuel rule might not be the right way. This other doctor we watched on a podcast the other day would say that you need to eat the foods that are the most satiating. And what is the food that's most satiating?
There's
and he says there's a scale. He says there's a scale from 0 to 100, bacon and eggs being right down the middle. And I don't even know what that means. I have no idea what that means. Some people say protein is the most satiating food on the planet. I think that if I had bacon on my plate and mashed potatoes on my plate, the mashed potatoes are going to make me feel fuller. Now, but again, protein takes longer to digest. It makes the body have to go into a higher process of burning in order to get that protein digested. So it's taking longer to digest. That could be a sensation of feeling fuller. There's so many different ways to do diet and heavy lifting and rebounding, and as long as we're safe. See, there's a learning curve for everything. I'm not even going to say that rebounding is potentially the best, because there's a learning curve with rebounding, there's a learning curve with weightlifting, and there's a learning curve with diet. We all have to tune in. We'll have to honor, we have to be honest with ourselves.
Yeah, we don't want to make anyone feel guilty. If you're feeling happy and healthy and on track, that is what matters.
Amen.
Head high on that one. If you feel like you need to make a change, really inside your own heart and soul, intuition, you have the answers. Meaning you know what you ultimately want to do.
I would love to be on Huberman. So would she. He's cute. But no, he's so knowledgeable.
He seems fair.
He seems fair. And yeah, he's got a nice deep voice.
Oh my God. Anyway, how long did your results take? Do you want to answer that?
How long did our results take?
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Well, the question always gets me confused for myself because I have to go back in and do the math and subtract and add. And the reality is that we were coming from a fad diet.
There's no quantifying how results are even
when we started. I know
established.
it's impossible.
There's
we were
no
coming from a
quantifying
fad
it.
diet and readapting to normal eating, and we also had to adapt to jumping. I had an injury We were sit bouncing a lot because my ankle injury. Then I got injured from sit bouncing because I overdid it and it injured my
Our
back.
belief systems were running wild with what we were supposed to be, how we were supposed to
Should
be
we
training,
still be cycling,
or eating,
running?
and it was like these all factored in. If it was a streamlined, smooth sailing, it could have been vastly different.
Yeah.
Does our timeline make any difference to anyone else? No. But we did when we got to that point where we could jump consistently, like actually be consistent, it was like we finally came across this time. We're like, oh, it's happening. We're able to be consistent. Was 2 or 3 months that we both went like this, and we were both feeling like, oh my gosh, bodybuilding season is now.
And really take this to heart. And then adapt slowly but surely.
We're going to talk about that at the end here. So the results came quickly when we were able to be consistent, but then the diet factors in, and there are
it's crazy.
There's nutritionists out there and experts that would suggest that nutrition is the majority of how takes the majority of impact of how one loses weight.
And after menopause, nutrition, ICU, all of it. And we're not menopause experts
And we're not nutritionists, but we feel a certain kind of way about it, and we're here to share, and we don't want to make anyone feel bad about their own way.
I'm trying to understand protein the best I can because I know that it takes more energy for the body to process it. I know that more protein can cause cancer. I know that protein typically comes from, this is all the things that I've learned on Huberman.
But you can say I'm believing these things because it's not everyone's belief.
A lot of protein sources are animals, but I see you in here, the plant proteins. I see you. Excellent, excellent. We love beans. Come on, come on. I had bean tacos for lunch.
Okay. We're gonna get into the last segment here and answer more questions, but
yes, we'll answer
adaptation. So we're gonna talk about adapting because that's really quickly. It's not really quick. We'll get into it, but adapting is so important, and it goes for diet as well. But we're gonna talk about jumping. Adapting is so important, and actually I have something really interesting, an angle to talk about because we do have a beginner's guide on our website at jumpinstead.com.
I'm so glad you said
that. But the first thing you have to do is choose a rebounder, and I'll give you the quick rundown. We think that
what about watching that video on our website?
We have a website video at jumpinstead.com. We have a video on our website. But the rundown is that when you get to know the two rebounders, there are many. So,
but
I'm going to narrow it down to the ones we recommend. So it's up to you. If you want a different rebounder, then you can just go like that.
And we want to preface by saying that these are the safest rebounders because we have like the 350i, but that soft bounce is really tough.
She's like, nope,
really tough can be tough on the joints. But we like it. So
there are other safe rebounders out there though. So we just have these two rebounders that we know and support and love. The 550 Pro Jump Sport. The 350 is cool, but the 550 ultimately might trump it, and it's only the difference is that the bounce is slightly softer than the 350, and the mat is 44 inches. That big, beautiful, wide handlebar, that's the bungee unit. That's the best bungee unit. Now, we also love and built our physiques on the Cellar Sizer Rebounder with handlebar. They have a wide and a narrow. We like them both. We like the wider handlebar better on the bungee
But we used to like the narrow one, and they're both great.
Oh, we like the wider on both, especially the bungee, okay? So when it comes down to it, the bungee is more gentle, and the bungee is less resistance. And there's pros to using that rebounder, and there's cons as well. And then the Cellar Sizer, there's pros and cons too. But the Cellar Sizer offers more resistance, period.
Yes.
And it's safe. And it's the only spring rebounder on the market that is the high quality steel, triple tapered spring, beautiful steel and high quality materials. And it is the best of the best.
I can grab it.
Go ahead. So our bias goes towards the Jump Sport 550 or 350 Pro and the Cellar Sizer. Ultimately, these two offer two different experiences, and you will need to make that final decision when it comes to making the choice. We can't choose for you. You will have to go into your journal and ask yourself, which one do you want?
This is the difference between the
Which one
Cellerciser
do you
and the
want?
jump sport.
And you may buy the one you shouldn't be jumping on. And I'm just saying that because that's the truth. If you buy the Cellerciser and you wish you bought the jump sport, that's on you. And if you bought the jump sport and you wished you bought the Cellerciser,
hey,
we can
it's time
only
to
give you
gift.
we can only give you the
That's
information
on you.
we
That's
know.
the last thing.
Oh, I only want to
I
be
know.
fair in that please ask your, please just get as much information as you can. We have the video on our website. There's
We
also
feel for you.
Sellersize.com has a lot of reasons why their rebounder is unique and why they're the best spring rebounder on the market. So do your reading research. You can listen to reviews. Many of the other rebounding instructors that are on social media have yet to try a Cellerciser or jump on it for a month straight. And there's such a vast difference between the bounces that when you jump on them back to back, one could feel like the Cellerciser can feel quite firm, almost rock hard. And then you get on the bungee unit and it's smooth and soft. But then when you start on the Cellerciser and you feel like it's normal and it's a high resistance rebounder, then you get on the bungee and it's like super soft and slow. So depending on which one you started on or which one you kind of test out first,
like your
the
palette.
other one doesn't kind of just always lands secondary unless you're familiar with both and you're being objective about the actual differences about what each one truly is offering.
I wish we could give you more information on the B cans too, because we do have them, and what we like about them is that
You mean the
the
bungee?
40 and the 48-inch B cans.
Bungee.
Yeah, they're bungees.
We
yes.
don't
You're
we
right.
don't love the spring one. We
Yeah,
tried
real
it
tight.
and it was really tight and
Yeah.
rock hard, jarring.
But we don't have a lot of experience on them long term, but we have seen trophies talk about the B cans being a great rebounder for an introductory rebounder, and so that's what we like them, and we link them. We're affiliated with them, and we've sold a
They come
ton
with a
of
great
them.
wide
And
bar.
it's
Did you say
because
that?
they really are good rebounders for getting you jumping.
Oh.
Getting you jumping, and they're under $150, and that price range seems really fair at the start. Some of us are just wanting to go to the farthest extent with, they know that they're never going to have to replace this. They know they're going to love it from the start. They're only going to get the one rebounder for the rest of their life, and that we recommend be the Cellerciser rebounder. But guess what? Not everybody in the world, on the planet, has access to the Cellerciser rebounder. And so
Jumping instead
Then
should
it
just be about enjoying your experience and having your body respond well. If you can get those two things synced up, you are good to go. You're jumping. You're
You gotta
getting
do
into
your
those
research.
forces
Yes.
of acceleration.
But the Amazon ones, I'm sure, are available worldwide, and there are other brands that are available worldwide. We just have to find them in our local area.
So actually, I want to talk about the jump sport and the Cellerciser. So I'm going to say bungee versus Cellerciser because it's not bungee versus spring. It's bungee versus Cellerciser. When it comes to a bungee unit, if you are using a bungee unit, a bar is essential. It is more of a down press focus. That is the reality if you want maximum results from a bungee unit. It's more of a down press, okay? Whether you're bouncing or you're pressing, you got to get a little bit more into, or you got to understand and be aware.
Effort into.
You have to put more effort into pressing.
As opposed to it already like giving it being the effort.
The
How am I
Cellerciser
trying to say
potentially,
this?
the Cellerciser potentially does a bit of the work for you.
Yes.
Where
It's like
the bungee requires more effort of pressing down. Some of you
Yes.
might think that's a win.
it might be
but-
like water. If water was different density, if water was thick and thin, the bungee rebounder would be like thin, so you would need to pull
Work
harder,
harder.
and then the Cellerciser would be like thick water, where you just have to move through it, and it's going
Slower.
to be resistance.
So potentially more leg kind of, not isolation, but it's going to kind of target the legs more, not more than the Cellerciser, meaning more than the rest of the body.
Yes.
On a bungee.
But that's good. Burning calories, getting a major muscle group working.
Legs
and
are great. You
strategize.
You'll get, yeah.
Dig into your heels, get your glutes.
Doesn't mean you can't build
And jog.
Doesn't mean you can't build amazing arms
Jog,
on a jump sport,
right?
or on a bungee. You can.
And you can do all bodybuilding but you gotta pay attention to how it feels against your back.
If it comes to those model or this bodybuilder like models, which is bodybuilding, and it comes down to those half inches or the lifts or the peaks or the valleys and the things that really make the difference between this body and this body, the Cellerciser could potentially trump, massively trump.
But it's not sustainable for most of us.
What?
Getting the Cellerciser, A, isn't available worldwide, and B, it's expensive, and C, we don't need to achieve the results that the Cellerciser gives us
necessary
over
for some of us,
a
or
bungee
accessible
rebounder.
to some of us.
That's
Got
right.
it. The last thing I'll say about the bungee is that it potentially could require a higher jump. So in order to access a bit more of that force, that stretch contraction, if you really want to connect to more contraction of the muscles, the bungee requires a higher jump. That's maybe why you see some of the bungee instructors jumping higher, because they are looking for that contraction, they're looking for that heart pump, they're looking for that workout, and jumping higher is required compared to the Cellerciser, which I want to get into the spring Cellerciser.
Real quick though, let's interject and say, what does your average woman in her 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and 90s, and 100s need?
Yeah, I'm not saying that one is so much better and then you're not good enough if you're not on a Cellerciser at all, because we enjoy the bungee, but there are facts to be established
And
when
40s.
it comes to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we know that there's this transition of life for women called menopause that can prove to, we can lose muscle mass and we can store weight, all of a sudden accumulate visceral fat and have all of these really uncomfortable symptoms of this transitional period. And so what is recommended by the main doctors that we're following is to build as much muscle mass as you can so that you can have that metabolic health and you can burn some of that body fat off and you don't lose muscle. You at least maintain it. So at least strength train, resistance train to maintain. And so it's possible that when we're in our 40s and 50s, women really need to go after a rebounder that's going to offer maximum muscle building. And then that's only to potentially balance out the loss. But then after 50s, maybe into our 60s, 70s, and 80s, is it possible that we could just jump on something that can keep us in maintenance?
Yeah. And do we
just be on a bungee?
Do you think that jumping through perimenopause and menopause will have that same significant muscle loss?
No, absolutely not. That's why we're resistance training when we're jumping on.
But they could also be resistance training, and they have a microbiome shift, a hormonal shift, a major drop in estrogen.
Yeah.
And then
when you're
that can
strength
transition
training,
muscle.
Unless you were to start
We are going to find out, aren't we?
Yeah, unless you're doing mock circulation movements in between your weightlifting while you're strength training and heavy lifting through potentially your 40s, 50s, and 60s, you're not getting nearly as much recovery as you would be if you're jumping and getting that lactic acid flush and that circulation and that recovery between, that's why they say you get 25% faster results when you incorporate rebounding into your strength training regimen. So we recommend it. If you can jump before a set, between sets, and after
This would
sets,
be at-home training.
this would be potentially very unsustainable for people that are going to the gym.
Yes, for people that are going.
But if we're not going to the gym, we could incorporate rebounding in like crazy, because when we really understand that circulation that comes from the jumping and how healing it is for torn down muscle tissue, it is going to potentially prevent you from building hardness in your muscles. And as much as you might want to look like permanently buff, you don't
think
have,
that you need to.
Yeah.
You might just believe that that's what's necessary to be to
have
have
a
enough
look.
muscle.
You're going to
have the skeletal muscle
tightness start to come into your life. And I am starting to conclude that we don't age, we just get tighter. Like, you know what I mean? Stiffer. we don't die from age. We die from stiffness. And that's what Barbara O'Neill says too. She says, when you're slowing down in your life and you're declining,
Jumping is missing from.
it's because you're not jumping anymore.
The aging body is missing jumping.
What if jumping was just the only thing, the
Should be
only
the
thing that we
standard.
needed? And what if we let go of it all? What if we let go of what rebounder we're on? Who cares what rebounder we're on? We're jumping. We're on a bee can, and we're honoring our body's intuition. Don't even honor the fuel rule. Don't overthink it, but you do need to stay hydrated. Follow your pee. Watch it. Look at it. Hi.
I love
see
you.
you.
I see
Okay?
you.
And then I need to drink some water, right? Don't go to bed dehydrated. And if you're eating food that is way too high in sodium, that could cause dehydration. If
Do
you're
your best.
eating,
And your
then,
best is good enough.
yes, so we want you to let it go. Jump instead and feel well. And if you're not feeling well, it's possible that you need to close your mouth, nose, breathe, follow your hydration a little bit more closely, and potentially get into a better sleeping cycle. And you could do that by, there's 2 times in the day we can look at the sun, and that's the early morning and the late evening. And that will help to regulate
Look at
our
the
circadian
sky.
rhythm.
Look at the sky. Don't
Okay.
necessarily look at the sun.
No, the sky. I'm sorry. Yeah, the sky. And then lastly, talk out stress. If you have stress in your life, and we all do, it's like they thoughts float through without question. Talk it out loud to yourself. Don't worry about if anybody's judging you. Talk it out or journal it out. Get it out of your mouth and get it out of your head by writing it down. It literally releases itself as soon as you start talking. Oh my gosh, okay, I feel this way. I'm beating myself up. I just weighed myself and I'm not where I want to be. Well, what could this mean? Well, maybe I'm holding more water retention and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe my hormones are balancing. Maybe it means I put muscle on. Maybe it means I don't have to track my weight so closely. Maybe it means I'm in the time of my cycle when I'm holding more water retention. I feel better. Nothing
You can
changed,
talk to yourself
but
or
I
talk to
talked it out.
someone else.
Talk to someone else or write it out. So these are the tips I just tipped you. That's going to be in my ebook. These things can make a huge difference in your hormones, in your balance, or in your daily happiness. And daily happiness, because after a menopause, we don't have those hormonal shifts anymore. We want to just notice that we're just feeling better and happier and jumping, and then forgetting the rest and noticing that we want time to slow down. We want to slow the aging process. We want to really just love these last years of our lives, these last decades of our lives, and hope to live long, 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 long.
Yes.
Some of us might not want to live long, but I think most of us want to live long.
So I'm going to go back to, I explained bungees and I said definitely have a bar. It's a down press focus, more leg development potentially, higher bouncing potentially required. When it comes to the cellar size or spring rebounder, definitely have a handlebar. It requires, instead of so much of a down press focus, which we do that, but it requires more of just a pump, and the feet can be either flat against the mat or heel pumping. So this higher, it's not a high jump, it's a lower jump, and it's more of a pump. And it really does connect us to a true, solid, efficient pump. The focus, we get more full body activation, including the jawline and face, and it is potentially even a faster bounce and a shorter bounce.
Faster.
Not just shorter,
sure.
but faster. And then the bungee can be a little bit slower
Which
and
we
higher.
hope doesn't come across as intimidating. We do try to suggest in the routines and guide you to honor your own rhythm with your bounce, because that is where the magic happens. It's your rhythm of deceleration, acceleration, adding the gravity to your body in a safe and complete way. And if you're trying to bounce faster than your rebounder, then you're not swimming with the flow of your water. You're trying to outbeat the waves, flow with the waves of your rebounder.
So when you are doing pressing into a bungee, that's when you're going to require more pressing. So if you're on a bungee and you're looking for a little bit more resistance, focus on that down press.
Yeah.
And if you're on a bungee looking
And
for a
then
little
form
bit,
comes in big time here. This is why you see a lot of
no,
bungee
I'm
rebounders.
not even telling that. I'm not going to tell you what form other than hold a bar and
But your core and
Follow-
your back need to feel safe. When you start to push, you start to notice that you're bending over, and it's important to have your back not sinking, and so that you don't start to get lower back pain.
Yeah.
So that's why the
stabilize
handlebar is another
yeah,
reason
it
why
automatically
it's
happens.
amazing.
I think when you have
Yeah.
a handlebar, you automatically have a protection in
Well,
your body.
just think of your core as the
if
middle.
you're in our classes, you're getting really good instruction.
Yes, balance is the key to life, and your center of your body is the balance in your body, right? It's where your center of gravity is, and so just keep thinking about that when you're jumping.
So when we talk about adapting to rebounding, and you choose a rebounder in order to get this adaptation started. So we explained, what a bungee unit offers you, what a cellar sizer offers you. Choose your rebounder, whatever sort resource or website you want to do that with. There are gentle ways to approach it. We do not even have to be jumping on day 1 or day 30.
Which we covered already.
Or day 60. So just know that you can start with our beginner's guide on
No
our
bouncing.
website.
Oh.
Or you can start with no bouncing, just stepping.
Which
I
we can
actually was
make
thinking-
workouts. See, it's on us to put workouts on YouTube
But I was just
that are
thinking-
non-bouncing workouts.
Yeah, stepping is great. It does begin to strengthen the ankles right away. So again, it's a slow process, maybe 5 minutes a day or a few minutes a day. So I would just, if you are adapting and you are concerned, if you have something going on in your body that you feel you need to protect, I would limit to stepping, just press walking.
Just like you're walking around your house.
Gentle baby bouncing, very, very gentle baby bouncing. Or when you're on the rebounder and you want to lean into
Just
it like
leaning.
you would, you could lean and do some gentle stretching. So stretching, health bouncing, and stepping would be anything but jumping. And so health bouncing is considered bouncing, but it's not really jumping. So there is definitely a place for you to begin your jumping journey, and you can spend as many weeks as you want honoring your pain levels. Do not cross over into the pain
Just want
threshold.
to make sure this is. Yeah,
Oh, it's
good.
open. Do not cross over into the pain threshold, because we're thinking that just like with any injury, if you cause pain, ultimately you're aggravating it, and that is just common knowledge to back off and don't go into pain. Just stay out of pain, and this is going to help if you stay just below pain, but you are in a movement, a circulation, then you will bring healing to the area.
Common misconception: we need to be in pain in order to get results. Well, rebounding has yet to be defined until this very moment, that when we meet ourselves right where we're at in our physical abilities, the rebounder takes us to the next level of strength. So we never have to take ourselves past where we're at in our bodies. We're jumping on a resistance mat that is having us access the forces of the earth, strengthening our bodies, defying gravity. So if we always meet ourselves right where we're at with our beautiful mouths closed,
Consistency takes us to the next level.
in perfect jaw posture, and we stay consistent, well, meaning you keep
1 minute
practicing.
a day, every single day.
The
2 minutes a
rebounder.
day, every single day.
Yeah, the
3
rebounder
minutes a day.
takes you to the next level, and then you don't have to force yourself into an uncomfortable zone.
Weights or other forms of exercise would also be taking you to the next level, but the rebounder could potentially sit pretty on a higher pedestal of sustainability and safety.
Just think about yourself behind a big x-ray curtain, and when you pick up that weight, your elbow has to bear all that weight. And look, it's been done by billions of people for decades and decades, hundreds of years.
Billions.
Has to. There's
billions
there's like
of
10
people.
billion people on this planet. Billions of people have lifted weights. And all I know is that now that we have a way to not put any stress on joints, because guess what? A joint injury sucks.
So in the adaptation phase, weaknesses are revealed, and I did want to say this is a good thing. We don't want to aggravate our weaknesses,
No.
but if it happens,
Oh, yeah.
it could happen. Yeah, I just want to say with weaknesses, how else would we know that this area is weak if jumping doesn't show
Expose
us,
it.
expose
Mm.
it, and reveal it? So that's a good mindset to have. If you happen to meet with a weakness that requires a day or 2 or 7 off of jumping, and it wasn't a weakness you were aware of, be really grateful. Honestly,
yes.
you can have a grateful mindset because this weakness could be something that it would have just gotten worse and worse and worse.
Yes.
And it could be the pelvic floor that just is showing you, oh goodness, I'm leaking. I don't want to jump. Do you think this leaking is going to get better?
Let Sean
or do you think
Mendes,
it's going to get worse?
in his latest interview,
Without
said
jumping.
when he came into the studio to write a song and he came in with stress, he ended up writing the best song ever. And it's because he cleared that stress out and was able to release it and then have freedom on the other end. So if you're coming into your rebounding experience with any sort of weakness or stress or tension, know that you need to heal that and you will be feeling better immediately. You're already setting yourself up for reward.
So figuring out a way to get your weakness into either rest or rehab is our
And it's
suggestion.
our job too to also make you YouTube routines of rehab.
So
let's wrap this up because it's been an hour and a half and it's dinner time and we have kicked so much butt and I think that we're kind of covering things twice.
Okay, well, I do want to say, I want to finish it up with this. You know how to progress with your jumping. We've got a beginner's guide. We have free daily workouts. We have we have free daily workouts in our live tab. We have a playlist section on YouTube with free workouts there. We have our trophy body training programs on our website. Those are a one-time fee of $30. Same concept, same moves, same intensities. We were mouth breathing, so please nose breathe. But these are programs where you can only pay $30 and get a 6 to 8 weeks of worth of workouts. It's 1 week recorded that you repeat.
Yeah, it's just 1 week that you repeat.
Or you can join we want you to practice jumping. We want you to master the moves. We want you to nose breathe, play, enjoy, connect to jumping and have fun with it. You can also get to that point where you're joining our membership. That's in the join button on YouTube. And the last thing I'm going to close out with is that we want all jump stars to focus on low to moderate muscle activation in our workouts, strictly nose breathing, very happy heart rate, talking pace, but we're not talking. So very happy talking pace heart rate, instant, which results in instant and fast recovery, consistency, balance, and happy hormones. Okay, that's what we want for you.
That
we
is
want
the center
to
of
stay
life.
under the threshold of intensity and stress in the muscles and stress in the heart, because this is going to keep us more happy, consistent, balanced. Our appetite will be in more control. And if we're really, really trying to lose weight, are we going to go aggressively after exercise and expect that that's going to be the ultimate
That's what we're
cure
told,
for
calling
weight?
misconception.
I can promise you that every single expert out there is going to tell you that diet is going to get the weight off. So when I say that, what I mean is you can go one step deeper and create a foundation for your diet that's going to help your diet get you the weight off. If you go right below that and you nurture your diet with happy hormones, you are going to align with the appetite that's going to ease your weight, get your weight down. And if you are over and over and over again trying to believe that aggressively approaching exercise is going to get the weight off, you are going to stay stressed and you're going to stay in an appetite roller coaster.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Happy hormones. You are literally month after month after month eat more aligned with your true appetite.
Our hormones are like an orchestra, and we need to have it all in balance and harmony. And you are the conductor, meaning you are in charge of your nose breathing and your easy world jumping and your self-talk and self-love and circadian rhythm, your sleep and your, cycle syncing if you're still menstruating, or just going with the seasonal flow after menopause, and jumping and following your fuel rule, whatever keeps the stress down when it comes to food. Then you will be able to conduct, you'll be able to tell those trumpets and those trombones and clarinets and saxophones and drums do their job. They actually already are doing their job. And so your job becomes easier.
You will be able to adhere to your menu better.
Yes.
And that is going to get the weight off the fastest.
And what if it's all simple?
It will be simple.
Hormonal balance. Simple.
Light to moderate muscle activation daily is a happy
If you're ever seeing advice that sounds hard, world,
it is.
Think the Trophy Twins would tell me Easy World. I'm going Easy
Have
World.
you ever tried Easy World?
Yay, Easy World. Isn't that
beautiful.
wonderful? There's a book called Easy World. And then I think it has another part of the title, but that's where we got it from our mom.
Really
All right,
great
Trophies.
having you here watching this
Absolutely.
live stream. I'm Sally signing off
Oh,
with the
that's a
Trophy
joke.
Twins.
That's a joke.
Hope you all had a great
Why
time.
did you just say that?
Stephanie and Sally.
Oh my gosh.
Stephanie
Easy
and
World.
Sally.
Easy World.
Stephanie and
Easy
Sally.
World. Thanks for hanging
We're
out
the
with
Trophy
us.
Twins. Can you tell us
You all
apart?
are so awesome. We know that you could have seen this video later on, tomorrow, next day, but you came and took your Friday night to hang out with us.
Some
we
of you
can't,
did.
We
We're
can't be
thankful for
happier. Thank you so much.
And if you're watching after the pre-recording, how are you?
And please like the video if you learned something, you know? And if you want to comment below on anything, you're
Please,
welcome.
please
I kind of
do.
sometimes feel icky saying like and comment, but the truth is that I get a little pick-me-up when I see likes. I do. It's true. It's the truth.
Thank you for the pleasure response.
And your accountability in the comments. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Trophies.
See you in class.
Oh yeah, the pleasure versus happiness. We
Yes.
want happiness here. Happiness.
See you in class.
See you in class.
Happy day.
Yes, take
Love
care.
you.
Lots of love.